The dog's deed is done.
What can I say? They were the best. They really stood out. They put it all together when it counts, and that's what the sport's all about.
What a routine.
And that just may do it for Georgia here tonight.
Wow.
The Jim Dog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Yocklin, and welcome to the Jim Dog Show. With me once again today is Associate Head Coach Jay Clark. And I don't know about how big his head is getting right about now, but the Uneven Bars, once again, this past weekend in Alabama, was our best event. We are ranked #1 on the Uneven Bars. Jay is our bar coach. We came off a big win against Alabama, but I can't say enough about how well our team did on the first event, which was the Uneven Bars.
Well, I don't know that it's due to me. I think about 2 years ago you wanted to fire me the way we were doing on
right,
the bars. So, you know, we just got great kids on that event. They've been very consistent. We've got a lot of depth there, which helps an awful lot because in the gym they're able to push each other to be better all the time, and that just creates a great situation on that event in terms of being able to be consistent.
Like Jay said, what's been a plus for bars, that competition in the gym every day pushing the girls has not been the case on vaulting, and that has affected our vaulting. Right now, vaulting is our weakest event. But in this competition against Alabama, which I must add right here that this is our 4th road competition and our 5th meet overall against the top 5 teams. So this team is really getting a lot of mental toughness right now, competing against the best of the best in the country. Alabama started on vaulting in this competition, and this is probably one of the only times in 25 years that I've seen it being a disadvantage for a team to really start on vaulting.
Yeah, they had 15,000 fans in there, and immediately the fans were taken out. Judging was a little different than what we were all accustomed to at this meet on that event, and they were a lot more strict with the vaults, and so the scores were not indicative of the quality of the vaults that they were doing.
It's very difficult when you're used to nailing a vault and getting a 9.9, and then all of a sudden you're getting a 9.75, to not have that have some effect on you. So I think it deflated the Alabama team in the first rotation, got them sort of, you know, off kilter, took their fans out, and it was just an ideal situation for Georgia. Let's take a look now at that first couple of rotations, Georgia on bars and vaulting.
Well, here we are in Tuscaloosa. You see our fans arriving early. This was during warm-up, so the place is not quite full yet. Grace Taylor getting us going on the bars. We had a fall. Nikki fallen first and really actually fell twice, so a lot of pressure on the rest of the lineup to get it done. A little bit of a muscle there on the front stalker, not much of a deduction. I think that overshoot to handstand could have gone up a little more. We've been working on that consistently in the gym. That was a great Comaneci right there for her second release. And getting ready for the dismount, and folks, this is what you got to do to get a 9.9 right here. Plants that dismount, a little bit of a step, but she goes 9.9 and gets us off, kind of off the schneid a little bit after Nikki. Kayla Hoffman on vault for Alabama. That's a beautiful Yurchenko full. It only goes 9.875, and that was the second highest score of the meet on that event. Could have gone a little higher. Katie Heenan back over on bars for us. Toe on and off blind change. That was a little late, not too bad. I'd like to see it be more on top. Good overshoot handstand. Katie's very, very clean throughout this routine, though. Handstands are all up, vertical from the side. I usually stand to the side so that I can watch that closely. Legs apart a little bit on the dismount, but just a great landing there on the double front. And she goes 9.95 for the second straight week. Morgan Dennis over on vault. Morgan's a very powerful vaulter. They were nailing the vaults that were not being stuck. And she hops on the landing there and goes 9.85. Courtney Kupets. Pretty good Shaposhnikova there. A little bit of trouble here. She really has to reach to get to that high bar. She does. That's not a deduction. It's just something that we noticed in the middle of the routine. A little bit of a body shape issue on the hop full there that we're trying to correct. Get her a little tighter. Blind change. Corkina. And then she finishes up with a double layout here. That last handstand probably could have been a little more vertical. And she sticks, and that's the key right there to get the scores, 9.95. So she closes out our rotation there, and we end up with a 49.425. That's our season high on the event. To Alabama's 48.9. So we head over to vault now, and the scoring is going to be consistent for us. That's a great vault for Tiffany there. A little bit of a pike down and a step, but Tiffany only gets a 9.775 out of this vault. You can see her a little bit of a pike down there and then the step. She's trying to protect that ankle by piking down. She's been having some ankle pain that we've got to get checked out. Jacqueline Sheely on bars for Alabama. That's a nice Higgins, pretty invert work. Big Tkachev, turns over very, very well. Jack's from Tuscaloosa, but actually trained in Texas at Woga, the same gym that Nikki and Megan were from in Plano, Texas, under Valery Liukin and Evgeny Marchenko. And she does a toe front half there. You can see she's got a knee brace on, so they don't want to risk much of a dismount there. She goes 9.8. Courtney Kupets on vault. Boom, boned it. Excellent vault. Huge amplitude. This is probably the best vault she's done all year long. Terrific rise off the table. Lands it very, very cleanly, 9.95, and even the tough vaulting judges couldn't take that one away from her. Up next, Cassie Price. From Orlando, Florida. That's called a Hindorf. Huge release move, very, very difficult to do. Overshoot the handstand for a second D release. This is a pretty good routine so far. Not a whole lot to take. That giant full could have been a little more on top, a little more crisp. And the dismount, a little bit of a hop there on the landing, but an excellent, excellent routine, and she goes 9.95. Katie Heenan on vault. This is a big vault here too, but you can see the steps. She hops and then she steps. It's 2/10. Otherwise it would have been, you know, a 9.9 plus. Might would have won the meet, but there's the hop and then a step because she doesn't show control, and she goes 9.775. 48.9 for us as well on vault, and the meet tightens back up. It's about 3/10 of a lead heading over to floor.
The Gym Dog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. By Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal healthcare organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty. You. By Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official Honda of the Georgia Gym Dogs. By the Georgia Club. The Georgia Club, a community of neighborhoods in Bulldog Country. And brought to you by Alpha Factor. Alpha Factor, the official gymnastics apparel worn by the Georgia Gym Dogs.
Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes. And this week's question is, after the freshmen have had a couple meets under their belt, how do you think they're holding up and progressing? And the answer is absolutely perfect. I could not be more pleased with what the freshmen are doing. Hillary has just been a stalwart on balance beam for us and leading off on floor. She's hit every single routine. Cassie McComb has been consistently above a 9.9 on floor, and we're going to see Cassidy really bust it out on vaulting pretty soon. So overall, those freshmen could not be in a better place right now. That's Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes.
Welcome back. Well, we're headed to floor. We've got about a 3/10 lead, a little bit better than that. 15,000 people in there, Suzanne, but you could hear a pin drop in the place. I mean, I've never been in that arena and have it be such a non-factor in terms of what's going on the floor. The crowd is totally out of it.
That's right, and I'm almost embarrassed because, you know, the team asks questions. The freshmen say, you know, what's it like in Alabama? What's it like in Alabama? And we're like telling them about the guy that leads the cheers back and forth when you're on the beam and, you know, all the craziness. And there was none of that. It was really like there were 300 people there, and you know, I almost think that you can get to a disadvantage having 15,000 people because the people in the upper seats really, there's no way they can really see what's going on. And you know, the size of our arena, 10,000, there's not a bad seat in the house, and you know, I don't know what it was, but it was definitely having 15,000 people there was a non-factor in terms of helping Alabama or hurting Georgia. It just, they were non-existent.
Right. Well, it certainly wasn't what we were expecting at all in terms of the atmosphere, because
right.
You go over there and you expect to be booed and you expect the place to just be erupting. It's usually just a great atmosphere, and I don't know if it had to do with the judging on vault. It's hard to say, but the crowd was definitely taken out of it. But we're headed to floor now. We still got to pull it together, and it's almost to our disadvantage that it's a little bit dead in there, because I think that can kind of work both ways, and we lose a little bit of our focus. But we're going to floor and got some new things we're going to throw out there. Let's take a look at those highlights. So we're headed to floor, trying to get the kids to remain focused and not get too distracted by scoring or anything else. Hillary Morrow getting us started on the floor exercise, and Hillary's done a great job doing this so far as a freshman. Opens with a double pike. She performs very well. So round off 1.5 to a front full. A little stumble there on that landing. Could be done a little cleaner. And then a Rudy that we are going to try and upgrade here in the next couple of weeks. That'll be one of the changes that we hope to make on the floor. She finishes up and goes 9.825. Over on the balance beam now, Ricky Lebegern. Flip-flop layout, pretty solid on the series. Switch sleep straddle jump. Switch side, there's a big balance check there. That's going to be at least a 10th. Side summy. Otherwise, a pretty decent routine. Finishes up with a double full, lands it very, very cleanly and goes 9.8. That's her second 9.8 in that lineup. Up next on floor, another freshman, Cassidy McComb, opens with a very, very well done double pike. Cassidy's a big-time performer in terms of her dance and everything that goes on throughout the routine. We don't get to see that because of time, but front full front lay there in the middle. You can see a little bit of her dance there and just see the polish of the way she moves and the presentation that she has. 2.5 punch front there at the end. That's very difficult. That's a new ending for her. We've upgraded that to increase the difficulty to kind of a championship level, and goes 9.9 for the second straight time. You can see there was a little balance check there on the switch sleep wolf jump for Cassie Price. Kick over front, maybe a little half-tenth there, and a double pike dismount here where she sticks it. Great routine for Cassie. She goes 9.825, and that was a good score on balance beam on this night. Tiffany Tolnay back over on floor for Georgia. Tiffany's performing her new routine for the first time in this meet. It's a totally new routine, new music, new choreography, and a new middle tumbling pass. So you see a little step back there on the Arabian double front. She's been doing that a little bit lately. There's the new pass, 2.5 punch front. Probably the best of the 3 passes was the new one for this routine. So, but we're just pleased to get her out there and get her a routine that she's comfortable with, and also be able to upgrade her difficulty to where it needs to be for the final stretch of the season. The music for this one is The Devil Went Down to Georgia, which is something that we've used a long time ago and in the past, but it sort of fits with our team this year, and she enjoys performing to kind of a country sound. She's getting ready for her last pass. See a lot more movement in this routine than any of the other ones that she's done. Much more involved in terms of getting the crowd going, and I think our crowd will really enjoy seeing it this weekend when we get back home. Finishes with a double pike, and you see this, she kind of jelly legs it and steps forward a little bit. 9.825, but we're just pleased that she was able to hit that routine on the road for the first time this year. Courtney McCool wrapping things up for us on the floor. Courtney Kupets had a little trouble just before this, so we need this to be a well-done routine. That's a 2.5 punch front layout, very well done. And again, we say it every week, but Courtney McCool's technique is just impeccable on everything that she does, and you can see it in every skill. Finished with a Rudy. That's going to be upgraded, hopefully here in the next week or so, as we get ready for the last part of the last half of the season. And Courtney brings home a 9.95 for the second week in a row. We go 49.325 on the floor and have a full point lead headed into the final event.
Hi, my name is Hannah Pashuta, and I'm a gymnast at Georgia Elite, and I want to ask Abby Stack, how was it to compete her first gym dog meet?
Thanks, Hannah, for the question. To compete my first gym dog meet was really exciting. The crowd really gets going, and that's the best part about it.
My name is Cater Hartley. My favorite part of the gym dogs is the teamwork. These girls work very hard, and then they come and cheer for each other. And Coach Yocklin has brought the crowd into the teamwork, and so it makes me feel like a little part of the team, and I get excited over that.
Well, as you said, Jay, the crowd was a factor. It was difficult for our team to really get into it. I think we did some great tumbling. Abby had a great triple full. Tiffany did a new routine, and even though there were some mistakes in it, it was good to see her out there with more difficulty, really championship level difficulty from her now on floor. And, besides Courtney Kupets' fall and mistake, which luckily we were able to throw out and not have to count it, Good routines, another consistent one from McCool, but just a flat atmosphere all the way around. But now that floor's over, we've really got a big lead on Alabama going into this last rotation.
And not so much pressure from a scoring standpoint, but anytime you're finishing a meet on the balance beam, that's good learning experience. That's going to prepare you for what could possibly happen down the road. And so it's a great way for us to finish, and we got to complete the meet. You see the 15,000 plus fans there in Tuscaloosa. They're trying to rally behind their team going into the final event a little bit. Nikki Childs getting us started on beam. We need her to bounce back from a less than stellar performance on bars earlier in the meet. Nice flip-flop layout series. Nikki's line, as we've talked about before, is very good on this event. That's a big stumble there, at least a 10th. Front aerial, beautifully done. Switch leap, double stag. You'd like to see that front leg get a little higher. We've been working on that with Nikki, and she needs to pay a little more attention to that when we get into the competition environment. She does a little better job of it in practice than what we're seeing in competition right now. Gainer full, a little hop there on the landing, and goes 9.775, but a solid start for us on this event. Caitlin White, also from Woga in Plano, Texas, opens with a double pike. Kind of out of control there, stumbling back on the landing. Whip half to a front full. Again, a stumble forward on the landing. So Caitlin's landings are not as good as she'd like them to be on this night. A front layout to front Rudy. Again, lack of control there at the end on the landing, and she still goes 9.825. Grace Taylor back on balance beam. Grace's ankle, what we think, is finally 100% now, so we're starting to see the kind of improvement we need to out of her, and hopefully we're going to get her back on floor here very, very soon. See her series is a one-arm back handspring to a back pike. Very solid landing. Grace's choreography is beautiful, too. She just moves so well on the beam. And one of the things I think about our team on the balance beam that you don't get from a lot of other teams is just the way that the choreography flows and the way things move, and they work the beam on toe the way they should. And you know, you'd like to see the judges reward that, because our team really works the beam the way that the balance beam should be worked. You see Grace's flexibility there. She has a little bit of everything in this routine. There's another D salto there for a front aerial to a pike jump. A little slow on that connection, but it shouldn't cost her too much. And she's getting ready to dismount here, where she had a little bit of trouble earlier in the season, but we've gotten it straightened out. Flip-flop, double full, just a little hop there on the landing, goes 9.85, but a very, very good score and a very good, solid routine for us right now. Morgan Dennis back on floor for Alabama. Enormous double layout. They don't get much bigger than that, and this is one of her strengths. She's a very powerful athlete on vault and floor. Comes back with a double tuck, and then finishes it up with a front through to another double tuck. You don't get credit for the second double tuck, but you do get credit for the indirect combination of the front tuck to that skill. Courtney Kupets finishing up on beam for us. You can see we shortened the mount. She just was not feeling herself after the floor routine, so she just wanted to go safe and make sure she stayed on. Nice front tuck. She's moving very well through this routine. Switch leap, gainer layout. Done exceptionally well. Switch side. Not much wrong to this point. And the big step forward, you see the chest is way down on the dismount, and step forward, and that's what gets her. Now Courtney McCool finishing up again in the anchor spot on balance beam for us. The first half of this routine was awesome. And then as we get further down the line, she's got so much in this routine. I think we just need a little more time. She's going to be very consistent and be able to nail this down. You see the first balance check right there on the sheep jump. Now we've got a big balance check on the side summy, which has consistently been the place, whereas if she has trouble, that seems to be the most common place. And now she's a little rattled mentally, which we try to get her not to do, and she wobbles on a full turn. And then finishes with a pretty good dismount here, though. Just a slight step there, 9.775 as we close the competition there and secure the win. Not a great performance, but good enough, and it's always good to go to Tuscaloosa and come out with a win. 196.625 to 196 even.
Routine of the Week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center, and this week's routine is Katie Heenan on the uneven bars as she scores her second 9.95 of the season. That's Routine of the Week brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center.
Countdown to the NC2A is brought to you by Melwood Springs. And as you can see, the top 7 do not change from last week, but Arkansas, another SEC team, jumps into the top 10 at number 10. And that's Countdown to the NC2As brought to you by Melwood Springs.
Well, there you have it. A good competition, not a lot of outstanding gymnastics, just pretty much average from both teams. But as you can see, Georgia definitely a clear winner over Alabama, and now we come back home.
Well, we've come through the juggernaut, or the gauntlet, so to speak, of starting the season with those 5 really huge meets, and now we've got the opportunity to upgrade some things, put some new difficulty in. We don't really know what Tiffany's situation is going to be because of an ankle thing, so we may wind up resting her. We got to get that checked out by the docs. Grace will be back in on floor. So there should be some good positive changes going on here, and hopefully we can get healthy here in the next 2 weeks.
And we plan on resting, Courtney Coupette. She's gone all around in every single meet, and she needs a little break. So the lineup will definitely change, and we will see you next week with the results from the home competition this Friday against NC State.
The Gym Dog Show has been brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. By Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal health care organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty, you. By Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official Honda of the Georgia Gym Dogs. By the Georgia Club. The Georgia Club, a community of neighborhoods in Bulldog Country. And brought to you by Alpha Factor. Alpha Factor, the official gymnastics apparel worn by the Georgia Gym Dogs.